If someone told me a few years back I would convert to Islam and become a Muslim, I would laugh and walk away. Never in a million years did I expect to be on this path. I was raised as an atheist and in a society skeptical and intolerant of religion. In 2014, I went to Saudi Arabia on a working contract as a nurse. I literally had no idea about Islam and had no intentions of learning about Islam, to be honest. I just wanted to work, earn money, and travel the world. I had the typical Western way of thinking when it came to Muslims, thinking the women were oppressed by their fathers or husbands. I was brought up as an atheist, and I was fed to believe that religion was the cause of the problems in the world, and that religion was created by man to control the masses. After a year living in Saudi, I started to notice people around me encouraging me to learn about Islam. They would make comments like, "You have a white heart, you would make such a good Muslim," etc. Initially, I was reluctant, stating, "I'm happy the way I am." Slowly, I started to become more interested in Islam. Living in a Muslim country at the time, I was constantly around people praying, hearing the call to prayer, hearing people recite Quran, or playing it on their phone. I would see the Kaaba on TV and people circulating it, and it would captivate me. As I started to learn more about Islam, I started to love religion more. It was answering all the questions about life and made me see life so clear. It was to that point where I just could not deny that it was the truth. At that point, I was in contact with a sheikh in Saudi and was going to take my shahada, but I was feeling quite hesitant, so I decided to delay it. I was in contact with my mom and dad, telling them I was thinking about converting, and they went into panic mode, begging me not to do it and to come back to New Zealand. They were saying I would go back to my normal ways once I come back home. I felt gutted that I had disappointed my family. Suddenly, I was terminated from my job and sent back to New Zealand. I was so gutted, but I knew this was Allah's will. Once back home with my family, I started learning the Quran around the house so they knew I was serious and it was not just a phase. Realizing that tomorrow is not to promised, I decided to pick up my courage and finally convert. I was so nervous doing Shahada. I traveled 2 hours to do it. I wanted my only Muslim friend I knew to be present. As I spoke the Shahada, all my nervousness went away, and a wash of warmth went over my heart. I felt so light, like all the burdens went off my shoulders. That day, I could not wipe the smile off my face. I felt like I could face anything in this life as I knew Allah was with me. I started learning to pray 2 weeks before Ramadan, and it was such a struggle learning to recite the Quran. I was practicing every moment I could. It was such a good feeling once I started praying. It was the peace in my day amongst all the chaos I was facing. Islam changed my life in more ways than I could imagine. It gave me strength inside of me I never knew I had. I faced quite a lot of difficulties with my family after I reverted. I had never seen my mom so upset in my life. It was like someone died in the family or like she lost her daughter. She was so embarrassed that our friends and family would find out. She forbade me from wearing hijab and wanted me to pray and practice Islam in private. We had many arguments, and was threatened on many occasions to be kicked out of the house. I would be crying in my room, begging Allah to help me. By the will and grace of Allah, I got married and am now living in Saudi. I now have a good relationship with my family. Alhamdulillah. They even recently came to Saudi to visit me and to see how we live. I'm so grateful to Allah for the struggles I went through. It has developed me into who I am today. My advice or words for the undecided non-Muslims who want to revert, ask yourself, do you believe in Allah? Do you believe in Prophet Muhammad and all the other prophets? Do you believe in the Quran and that it's the word of Allah? Do you believe in the angels? Do you believe in life after death and the day of judgment? And do you believe in the divine predestiny? If yes, then you are a Muslim, and I encourage you to find your courage to do Shahada. The path might be a struggle, but when you have Allah on your side, you will succeed.